All right. Trey, we're live.
Hey, that's good.
That is good. Oh, 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 oh. So, first order of business is I'm going to pull us up on the phone and give us a little likety-like.
That's important.
It is. Um, who am I liking this as?
Who am I?
I am me. Okay, cool. Do I have any other me's? I do. How was your week, Trey?
It was pretty good. I went out of town like Wednesday night, so I only had to work like 3 days, which is good and not good when you're a teacher because you're like, a couple of days out of the classroom. That's nice. But then you got to go back and do damage cleanup for whatever happened while I was gone because there were assignments that were for grades, and we'll see.
Yep. I remember those days fondly. Like, I get some time off, or it's the worst whenever you were sick, and so you didn't really get to enjoy being home as much as you would like to, and then you still had to go back to deal with the craziness of the kids not listening to subs or whatever.
Yeah, and you're definitely not feeling 100% because just the moment you can function, you got to get back there.
Yeah, because everything's just going to burn to the ground.
Yep.
Unless you do. That's what it feels like, at least.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Imagine when I took off for Jubilee being born and going back after like 2 months.
Whew.
Yeah, like that was wonderful. A wonderful, wonderful time. But when I got back, man, was it a dumpster fire that I had to clean up.
Oh. Yeah, 2 months. Wow. Like, how did they even get you back in the building after 2 months?
Well, they said we're gonna fire you if you don't. So
that'll do.
They already had to do like a special approval to let me off, and I'm like, first of all, I have sick days. You're gonna let me off, or there's gonna be a lawsuit involved. So you just sign off on it. And they're like, well, we're going to need a doctor's note. I'm like, fine. Oh, look, my wife's OBGYN said that I need to be home to take care of her. There
you go. That is a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Well, welcome, everybody, to Favorite Terrain. If we're going by season, this would be Season 2, Episode 2.
Correct.
Or if we're going just by episodes, I think this is the 23rd, maybe. Who knows? I'm just glad you're here.
Yeah, 23rd episode.
But you know what's weird? Like, we're streaming as a game. Okay, we're not playing a game, but they don't have Dungeons and Dragons listed as a game to stream under.
Nope.
It's Dungeons and Dragons Online, which is not not the thing that I wanted, but we're not playing Dungeons and Dragons Online if anybody's watching this on YouTube.
Yeah, and is wondering, where's the Dungeons and Dragons Online?
I came here for the D&D-O.
Well, we're gonna give you the D&D talks is what we're gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah, so welcome. We're Two Beards Play. I'm Travis.
I'm Trey.
Yeah, and we're Two Beards Play, but I said that already.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Just in case you forgot, you found yourself at the show titled Favorite Terrain, where us two longtime DMs, Dungeon Masters, Game Masters, sit around and talk for about an hour about D&D and our thoughts on various topics, or maybe just various tangents, depending on how it goes. And much like our DM games, our sessions, we're very ill-prepared, but we're ready to improvise.
No, Travis, don't oversell it. We're not ill-prepared. We are not prepared at all. The ill-prepared implies that there is somewhat preparation. Literally right before we started this show, you said, what do you want to talk about? Like, here we go. Tried and true, baby. Here we go.
Yeah.
Because earlier I was like, you were like, "Hey, are we on for doing the show?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Do you want to play games or talk about D&D?" And you're like, "I think talk about D&D," which led me to believe you had something specifically you wanted to talk about. But then right before the show, you're like, "What do you want to talk about?"
Right. No, that is all my scenes are still deleted out of OBS from whenever I set them up for Sea of Thieves, and I have not had time to go set those up because those took a while.
Yes, yeah, it was a lot. It was not a little. It was a lot.
Yeah. So, but that'll come back. Maybe I'll do that this week. But yeah. Let's see. What are you playing, video game wise? What's going on there? I saw you on Mass Effect the other day on the PS5.
Yeah, when we decided that we're probably not going to do Mass Effect on the show for the adult themes and all that stuff, I said, well, all right, I'm just going to start playing it. So I started dipping into that, and I don't want to offend and upset everyone that listens to us.
Hey, if you're still on Mass Effect 1, that one's kind of hard to get through. It did not age well.
I'm about to say, it is boring. Like, oh my god, I'm like, this is so dull. Like, I'm not invested at all.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to plow through, but I don't know. I'm getting Hogwarts Legacy this week, so probably gonna put that down for a while.
That's understandable. That's coming out this week?
Yeah, I got the special edition, which lets me get it a few days early. So I'm getting it like Thursday, sometime between Thursday and Saturday. It's set to download.
Nice. That's exciting. I didn't realize it was coming out so soon. There's a lot of stuff coming out this month, and in the following months, but specifically this month is a little bonkers. Yeah, I know the kids really want it. So if you're getting it early, I'll pick your brain about it, see how you like it. But I'm sure it's going to be phenomenal. It looks great.
It looks great, and there hasn't been too much stuff negative about it. Although, there's always people complaining. If you really wanted to find negative about anything, you could find it.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to play it and see what I like.
Yeah. Okay. So how far into Mass Effect would you say you are?
I did the first storyline off-world mission.
Okay.
I've been doing tons of side stuff because you know my brain and how it works. I got to go do all these other things first. But those are even more boring. And I'm like... and it's not like it's this big involved thing because, Mass Effect was always sold to me as, oh, it's like Knights of the Old Republic, just a different kind of thing. And I'm like, all right, dope, I'm into it. None of my party members want to talk to me. When you are traveling around on a planet, it's literally the same terrain no matter what planet you're on, and you're just different colors of terrain. Like you said, this was older, so I can see where at the time this was probably pretty dope.
Yeah.
But like you come across this building and you're like, this is supposed to be a big compound for a crime lord. Nah, it's a warehouse, and there just happen to be
I know
here.
exactly what you're talking about.
And I'm like, I don't get it. I really don't. And I'm trying to like stack my charisma so I can have all the talking points and stuff like that. And most of the time it works, and then other times they're just like, we're never gonna see each other again. Bah. And I'm like, cool, I guess.
Yeah. Kate too cool for you in chat. Hi. You got that chat pulled up, Trey?
Yeah, it's right here. Yeah. I'm jumping back and forth.
I got
getting us.
How are you, Kate? Welcome to the show.
The name I don't recognize, so I like new people jumping in.
I love new people. Yeah. So okay, so Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition, cool.
I'm mostly grinding through the first one because I've been told on the Legendary Edition you can like port in your previous game, so like your choices from the earlier games,
1 to 2 to 3, yeah.
So it's like earlier choices affect your game later, and I'm like, now see, I like that. I like the idea of this epic 3-game story going on, so I'm gonna do it. I feel like I know the one on the right.
That would be you.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Then yay.
Yay.
It's like I know people. Good. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already.
Yeah, and leave us a like.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So let's see. What have I been playing? Oh, my chair just the hydraulic pump in my chair is going out. So occasionally I'll just
Yeah.
sink a good couple of feet. Let's see. I've been flopping around between a few different things. On the PlayStation 5, I'm playing Ratchet and Clank. Because I beat Stray. I got myself Stray and Ratchet and Clank for my birthday, and Stray was phenomenal. I've actually played it twice. I didn't beat it the second time, but I've gotten through a big chunk. And then I'm going through Ratchet and Clank, and I'd say I'm about 60% through that game, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
On the Switch, I'm still grinding through Pokemon Violet. It's enjoyable, but I don't get excited about playing it. And then whenever I do, the kids are usually on it, so it's the kids usually get first dibs on that. They have friends that play it with them, because it's multiplayer now, and so they all get there in the world and run around and catch Pokemon and do what they call the raid dens. I can't remember the Terra dens with their new Terra.
I don't like that for a Pokemon game. They need to stop that.
What?
Like the whole World of Warcraft, you got to go on this raid and you got to get all these people together to do this level-based thing, and I'm like, that's not what a Pokemon game is. That's not what a Pokemon game is.
Well, that's what the last two Pokemon games have been, so.
Maybe that's why I haven't played them, and I'm just not excited about Pokemon anymore.
Yeah. They nailed it with Arceus. Arceus was so good.
I heard Arceus was phenomenal. Like, it couldn't get better if you tried.
Yeah. Yeah, that's phenomenal. Oh, by the way, if you're a teacher, I'm the one Mr. Shook calls the troublemaker. That's got to be directed at you.
Yes, I think I know, because Mr. Shook is a coworker of mine.
That's a cool name, Mr. Shook.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Shook.
I'm sure the kids have plenty of jokes for that.
Oh, they rip on him all the time. But to be fair, he starts it. Like, he straight up does. So yes, I think I know who that is. But yeah, welcome to Two Beards Play. Make sure you subscribe. Yeah, he's really nice.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so Ratchet and Clank on the PlayStation, Pokemon on the Switch, and then Jeremy and I were playing Stardew. Like he had gotten into Stardew, and I'm like, well, it's multiplayer.
Stardew's a great game. Yeah,
it is. And I was like, how about you let me hop on whenever you're on, and I like to mine. That's my favorite thing to do in the game is go mine.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'll just go, run your mine for you, and you could do all the other stuff, and I'll sell what I get, and you keep the money, blah blah blah. And so we did that for about a week, and he's like, I'm done. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're done. I was like, I got the girl like that I was going after, and now I've just like completely lost interest. I'm like,
yeah,
all right, but there's so much more. I was like, I don't care. I'm done. It fulfilled its purpose. It entertained me. Yeah. So
okay, so I gotta recognize something. Our buddy Cody is trying to chat with us. He's even sent me screen grabs of his phone that shows him participating in the chat, but it is not showing up on our end.
No, it's not. And I've even got like the YouTube Studio back end. So like if it was like something going on or whatever. Yeah, like it doesn't even show him under participants. I don't know.
Yeah, like, I mean, I see y'all, and it's legit showing up on his end. I don't know what's going on with your account, buddy. Like, you might want to be like, YouTube, what the heck? Because I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't either. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I'll have to look at that after the stream, I guess. But keep watching, Cody.
Yeah.
Send any messages straight to Trey, and we'll.
Yeah, I'll say pop them to me in our text, buddy, and I'll answer them and bring them up there.
Yeah.
YouTube will not silence you.
Let me see. Let me get on another account that is not linked to this. Okay, see that's popping up here. Yeah, Papanelli's popping up. I don't know. See, I've got this YouTube account and my personal one under the same email account, but Papanelli's under a different email. So, yeah, I don't know. That's weird. I'll have to look at it. Maybe I just blocked you one day because I was just mad at you, Cody. I just blocked you because you're too handsome and I couldn't take it. All right, yeah, so gravitating towards while we're here, D&D conversations. And I'm really surprised we haven't had a chance just to like sit down and talk about the session since we've had it. But
Yeah.
I think I'm not going to say we bit off more than we can chew, but we definitely partied like we were in our
Way
20s
younger.
again.
Yes. Oh my God.
Going to like 2 a.m., was it?
I did not leave Jeremy's house until 2:15, 2:30.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. So for people that are lost, do you want to give some context, or you want me to do it?
No, you go for it. You go.
Okay. So the context is this is what happened. Travis and I played D&D last weekend. Was it?
Yeah. Yes.
'Cause it wasn't this weekend. I was out of town, so it was the weekend before.
Yeah.
By the grace of God, all the stars aligned.
They really did, didn't they?
It all worked out perfectly. My wife and daughter were out of town at a women's conference. Travis had work off. Our buddy Jeremy was available, and our buddy Natalie, who lives like an hour away from both of us, was available. Didn't have to work night shift, which is what she normally works. And it was Travis's birthday weekend.
Yeah.
So he was like, you know what I want to do for my birthday? I want to play D&D with our original group. And lo and behold, we pulled it off.
Yeah.
And so we converged at our buddy Jeremy's house. And y'all have heard us talk about Jeremy a good bit. Jeremy, Cote, all the same guy. He was the original dungeon master for this group. It was me, Travis, our friend Natalie, and Cote was dungeon mastering.
Yeah.
So that's how this whole thing got started. All of this whole internet thing, being buddies, everything started at a D&D table, which is why it's always been very near and dear to our hearts. Because, we all became like family around that table. And we played for years. And life happened. Well, lo and behold, now we got to play again. And we had been playing this campaign so long that Jeremy started off as the dungeon master. It transitioned to Travis being a dungeon master. And then now we've circled back around, and our friend Natalie, who had been planning this for years, she has been planning this one specific session, dungeon mastered for us, and we all played our original characters. Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah. Travis's was dead, so he had to play a new character. And then we all just sort of like got back into it, and that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about tonight, as far as D&D goes. Did I miss anything or leave anything out?
No, I don't think so. Okay, so yeah, Natalie. Okay, yeah. So Jeremy was originally the dungeon master, like you said, and this was all our first go around. Definitely my first go around in like a serious game. I think you said maybe this was like your second serious, like.
Yes, I'd only had like one actual other campaign before, but I was still so new to D&D that I was upset that I didn't get to play my original character, so I just put him in this game.
Comments are turned off.
Yeah, Kate says the comments are turned off. What?
Huh? Okay. Well, we'll continue, and I'll check that out on my.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, no, I can't do two things at once. Yeah.
Anyway.
Let me see. Chat. Comments. I don't even see comments on here. Chat.
Since this is a live stream, comments might not even show up until later. So it's only live chat right now. Any after y'all get done streaming, they will turn on. Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen as far as comments goes. But Cody should be able to participate in the chat. I really don't understand.
Yeah, well, I put that in the chat for him to try to say something again because I went in the settings and turned off some things that might allow him to comment. I don't know though. Anyway, okay, so I can't do that right now. Yeah, and so I'm not going to give a huge context of like what the story was or whatever because that was our game, that was for us or whatever, and that'd be kind of boring.
I don't think so. I think one day we need to tell the story. All right, Kate.
You mean one day we need to write a book?
Oh, well, yeah. Basically, we need to write a collective novel with 4 authors because that'll go so well.
I think that's a great idea. Like me, you, Jeremy, and Natalie. I don't know how well this would work out, but in theory, if we were all like just gung ho about it,
what would be great is if we all told the same story from our character's point of view.
Yeah, from different points of view. Yes, exactly. Yeah,
and then you just have all of that put into one big novel that tells the story.
Yeah. Anyway, so we just write it for them.
Yeah. That's also very much a possibility.
Yeah. So anyway, long running game, and had a very climactic ending where somebody dies. In the game, somebody cries in real life. Maybe a second person cries, but we couldn't tell because they had sunglasses on. And then we ended it. Like we ended it on a pretty solid to be continued. And ever since then, I'm pretty sure Natalie has been plotting the next steps, like what's happening now. And maybe a couple years ago, she messaged me and was like, hey, what notes do you have, or do you have maps, or what can you tell me about the continent, or really anything from the world that we played in? And I still have like type notes, written notes. I mean, this was like close to 10 years ago when we were playing this game. And I still had all that crap. Because I don't ever throw anything away. And I actually use a lot of the stuff that I built for that world for different games that I've ran. Like I've got a whole different, all the different clans of dwarves that exist in my world, and all like the names and what they specialize in. And I've got a map that I've drawn myself for the continent and all this stuff. Anyway, so I gave this all to her. And so periodically throughout these 2 years, she'd ask me like, so what about this? Or what do you think about this? Or, would this be something that could happen? Or blah, 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 blah. And so she's been like really working herself up, trying to get a good story written for us to play again one day. And I knew this, so I was like, this I think this would be great. For my birthday, we all need to get together. You need to DM your first game, which it was, for Natalie. And she freaking, I think, nailed it. I think she knocked it out of the park.
She did really good.
Yeah.
For a very first go ever, it was very solid.
Yeah. And one-shots, I would say, are a lot harder than just starting your first game. Because to get the beginning and the end in one session...
Ooh, man.
I have issues pulling that off. Like, I dread
I tell people all the time when they're like, I'm thinking of doing a one-shot. I'm like... Don't. One shots are hard. Like if you're gonna do a one shot, you need a good 6+ hours to pull it off.
Yeah.
Because inevitably your players are gonna go off the rails and they're gonna want to do goofy stuff and yada 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 yada. And then you're like, oh yeah, there's a plot that we have to follow.
Right.
One shots are not the way to go.
Yeah, because in a campaign, you encourage the players to just kind of go shake all the plot trees, go off on wild goose chases, and have fun with it and have that freedom. But in a one shot, you're like, you've got the leash and you're just like constantly like, no, let's go back this way. But you don't want to, because the one of the beautiful things about D&D is just the unlimited options of what you could do, the freedom of choice. And so to keep basically in a D&D session, you've got point A and point B, and how we get there is the fun. And it's kind of up to the players. But in a one shot, like, you've got point A and point B, and you've got to get there, and you've got to like drill it home.
Which was a unique situation for us all to be in for this campaign, because we were all back together and we wanted to have a good time. Like, the moment me and Jeremy were back in the old skins, and it was Jack and Hadhot, and we were back at it, we were like, let's do it, let's burn this sucker down. Like, we were ready for that. And at a certain point, me and Jeremy were like, all right, we need to refocus, because we're going to start giving Natalie some severe anxiety here. I think the very first thing we did was, oh, we need to get out of town. And Natalie's like,
She got you guys turned right back around.
She did. She did it in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we told her, like, whatever you think we're going to do the opposite. And it's not on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, and she gave me kind of her story ideas, like the stuff she's been working on. She's like, she originally, I was like, Natalie, that's not going to work the way you think. She originally was like, I want to get through the hell part, because we went into the lower planes, or hell, or whatever you want to call it, for this part of the adventure. And she's like, I want to get through this. Like, maybe we can get through this like in an hour and then go on to the next part. I'm like, from what you're telling me, Natalie, like, that's going to be our game. Like, there's nothing past that. Like, and she had a lot planned for past that.
I know. And we gotta have like rough plans to maybe get together in the hopefully not 10-year future.
Yeah.
And pick up with it and keep going. But yeah, like, when we were going through it and like every new chamber had a demon to fight, I was like, I see what you're doing. I don't see how we're gonna get this done though.
Dude, I don't see how we got through that.
Yeah. And I'm also fairly familiar with the cosmology of your world, so I was like, this could take a while.
Yeah, but I like what she did, making that hell not a fiery, sulfuric like place, but it was like an endless ocean. Like, it was very isolating, and I don't know. It was, and she was trying to go for, like, it was void of any type of life kind of deal. So, you didn't see anything. It was just ocean and what little bit of cave or island or whatever we were on. But those I kind of wish I knew what monster blocks she was using, because some of those, I mean, we were rolling high.
Mm-hmm. Really high.
Yeah, like in the 30s.
Yep.
And we were missing.
Yep. At a certain point when I was like, I rolled a 19 and I added numbers, and then she was like, that doesn't hit. And I'm like, then I can only hit on a nat 20.
Yeah.
I mean, if I don't hit with a 19 rolled with all of my pluses and all that stuff, then it has to be a nat 20 or it's not going to work. So I just started, like, I tried to streamline it at that point. I'm not, like, arguing with her or anything. I'm just letting her know. And I would just roll and be like, I don't hit it. Move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Um. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and like we immediately jumped into like the chemistry of the old group, like how quickly you were had Hod, Jeremy was Jack, and I wasn't anybody really, but um, I don't know. There was an energy there that we used to have when we played, and it was nice. It was like this is an old feeling I haven't felt in a while.
Yeah,
Um,
the synergy around the table was top notch.
yeah, it really was. It really was. Um, yeah, like I have not been able to cut up like that and act a fool. Um, really any other group. Like, of course, I don't play too often, but
Right.
still, it was nice. Oh, so I don't know. What do you? So when you sent Roe across the ocean,
Hmm.
have you done anything in your games with that? Like,
Well, I've got a whole plan.
but you haven't executed it yet.
No, 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 because I want that to be us.
That's gonna be us.
I would like, and in my world, the canon story, the way I look at it is that I dungeon master games in my world play setting, but the canon storyline will be you guys.
Yeah.
It's like multiverse. Like this could have happened, or this could have happened, or this could have happened. But if you want like a plotline prime, like the good timeline, it's gonna be with you guys because I mean it would. I just think it would work, and the big story that I usually go to when people want to play something original does revolve heavily around Hadhod and the Ram Crowns and stuff like that. And I knew if it was you guys, y'all would be invested. You know,
Yeah.
I play it with other groups, and yeah, they're like, "Oh yes, this is cool," and they're trying to do this thing, but all I have to do for you guys is like drop a hint about something, and y'all be like, "We're gonna shake that plot tree until it falls apart, man." So y'all will be the ones not just trying to get things done, but you will be purpose driven in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I've got plenty of stuff, and I just thought that would be sort of the transition over. Like, Roe is being moved to this new location, and we could do it to where either, Deus Ex, if Jeremy wants to play Jack, we can get him over there. That's easy. Getting characters places is easy. But if you wanted it to be like Roe is the carryover and you two play like new characters, and then Jack, and if we get Nelso back, they could come in like at the end for the final thing, I would be cool with that too. So I've got tons. I make fun of Natalie for being like, oh, she's been planning this for years. I've been planning my branch of this story just as long. Just as long. And I've got so many ideas. Because, whereas she was sort of like, this is what I want to do for this specific group of people, I sort of just expounded on the world and kept building and kept building and kept going to where there's stuff going on now. And I'm kind of like, oh, this has become something much bigger than just this one storyline. Because I've done other campaigns, and I've always like, okay, if I want to do all my campaigns in the same story, where does this fall? How does it connect?
Yeah.
And I've done that so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I've really been into world building. Like, I think the game that we played really kind of kickstarted some creative juices in my brain, and I'm like, oh, I need to write like more stuff, because we've actually kind of, Jeremy's called off our every other Friday game, just because of stuff happens, get busy, need a break, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And we were talking about me taking over anyway. Like, he's like, I don't want to DM right now. Like, I'd rather just play. And I'm like, good. I've been wanting to DM now that life is not chaotic, and I'll take over for you. And so so that's probably still the plan. It'll be different people, because one guy who was driving from Troy he's moving to Orlando in August, and then
I don't think he's gonna make that anymore, buddy.
no. So anyway, I've been world building in my brain, and so part of me, I've got like our world that I've done a lot in, and then I also kind of have the other world that I ran for 2 years. And in my brain, it's like, because I kind of use the same landmarks, same things, but I really have been working with the idea that my 2-year game was something like way in the past, like thousands of years in the past kind of stuff, because I do want it to be the same world. In my head, it's always been the same world. But it's not. Yeah. No. Okay, I correct that, because I remember one time I had them going into some old dwarven ruins. And there was some statues of some dwarves, and in the middle of it, there was a statue of, the first name was worn out, but the last name said Ramcrown. And so maybe I had it like way in the future or something. I can't remember. But the Ramcrowns are definitely were a thing in that world. Of course, they had zero interest in any Dwarven King stuff, so I was just like, okay. I put that out there, and, a little tiny plot tree.
That's the interesting thing, though. You put stuff out there, and sometimes they're interested in this, sometimes they're interested in that, and you just kind of have to roll with it.
Yeah. But it was fun, because that's like one of the characters was kind of like, they joined in later, and so they were already in this old dwarven ruins looking for something, and they found like the dwarven treasure chamber. It was like in a secret room behind the throne room, and it was just full of just trinkets and treasure and gold. And the character that he was playing was a Warforged. And I don't have like a full head canon, because I don't go off of like Eberron and like the whole actual I forget what the D&D canon world is, Forgotten Coast or
the Sword Coast.
Sword Coast. Okay, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
in my campaign, it is there, but it's not the most important.
Yeah, but like, I think for that moment, Warforged were created by dwarves, because dwarves were the only one mechanically advanced enough to create something like that. And so there was some old Warforged that were part of the King's Guard, the Dwarven King's Guard. Anyway, and he was a Warforged, and he was just kind of buried under some treasure there in the King's throne room, and they activated him up, and he was a character, and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I want whenever I start DMing again, for the world that we're playing in to be a part of that. But then I also have like, I don't know, I come up with like really cool ideas. Like, I don't know if I can, like, that would have to be its own thing, or like, because and I may have said this to you before, I always thought it would be cool to treat humans, the human race, or ancestry, or whatever system you're playing, or whatever you call it,
garbage they are,
as a race that is the absence of magic. Like, humans never really were a thing. Like, every 1 in 1,000 or every 1 in 5,000 is born a human, and they're completely void of any magical ability. But then all the other races are plenty abundant, and magic is just natural. Like anyone can do magic. It's a part of life. Like it's a part of society.
Right.
Trains run on magic. Stuff runs on
Right.
magic. Humans, for whatever reason, and they've been coming into existence. The birth rate is much higher recently, and you know, every village you go to, there might be 1 or 2 humans, and they have no magic ability. I don't know. I think that's a cool idea. I don't know where to stick that, but it's just somewhere in my DM world building brain.
Yeah, hey, it could very much be a thing. Cody's messaging me, and he said, I have an idea I would want to try out with a game with Travis. It has a twist, though. And I've thought about doing this with a campaign before, but I would need people who are willing to do this. He says, I want to have amnesia and don't get to see my character sheet, but you, Travis, would have all that information. He would just need to know what his race was.
Yeah.
So
we've
he would
talked about this before. Like if you want to I want to see what's around the corner. Okay, roll for perception. I don't know what my stats are, and then like you kind of tell them like, okay, well you get a +2 to your D20, and then you can like, oh, so that means my wisdom's a
right. Or you could be like, you walk into the tavern and people don't see Dragonborn a lot, so they're kind of freaking out, and they're like, I'm a Dragonborn.
Yeah, and then you just got to fill that into a blank character sheet as you go.
Hey, Dwart Lemon's in the chat. What's up, Dwart?
Hey, I guess it's working now.
Different Cody.
Oh, Nimrod?
Yeah, Cody Nimrod's the one with the chat problems. This
He's
is Cody.
He's always had the chat problems.
Right, and I'm like, you really just need to call him or
Yeah,
bite
just
the bullet and
call
make a new
Google.
YouTube.
Call
the Google. Can we get the Google on the phone?
Yeah. And then this is a totally different world thing. Whenever my 2-year game got over with, I gave him 3 ideas because we were going to start up a new game. And I was like, here's 3 ideas. These are 3 different games that I would like to run. The first one being pirates. Like, I love the idea of you guys are a ship, or on a ship, you're a crew, and you're just going to sail from different land masses and have open sea battles and fight monsters and explore islands and treasure and et cetera, et cetera. Love pirates. Yeah. It'd be fun. I've always wanted to run a game like that. Second one was, and this was kind of hard to explain. I'd have to pull up because I wrote like a paragraph for each pitch, and I was like, okay, you guys are all level 1 common people, maybe even part of like the guard or something in the town that you live, whatever. Your baron, your jarl, whatever you want to call them, has tasked you to escort a very old gentleman with his package clear across the continent. Like, whatever it is super important. So majority of the game would be on the road. It's kind of like a road trip, and you have a cart. Inventory management would be a huge deal. Like, the cart can only hold so much, so while you guys are traveling, if you come across something or want to carry it with you or take it with you, you only have so much space. And I also wanted to make rations and food and keeping up with that kind of stuff kind of a big deal, because I feel like inventory management and food management and stuff is stuff that gets overlooked very easily. In a D&D campaign, it just kind of gets like, okay, you're smart enough to find some food, whatever. Oh, you got a druid?
Well, yeah, because that can really bog down a session.
It can.
You've only got 2 hours to play. I'm not about to roll to shoot a deer. He's a ranger. He can do it.
Right. But the idea of inventory management and like really just making the wilderness super dangerous, like having that be a majority of the challenge, dealing with weather, with the elements, bandits, not knowing when the next town is because you've never left your city. And then when you get there, what do you keep? What do you sell? What do you want to stock up on? Because you don't know when the next town's going to be. And then you've got this complete stranger with you that is kind of a jerk, but you've got to, escort him across the country. Anyway, so that was another one that I had a lot of ideas for. And then the one they went with, the third option, and I think I maybe have told you about this before, but I had designed a city, like I'm talking a massive city, like Ba Sing Se size city.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender.
And if you go do it.
Right now. No, come back. But
Do it later.
it was a mix between Ba Sing Se and Attack on Titan. Okay. So if you know like the wall structure of Attack on Titan, how massive the walls are in that anime, have you seen that anime?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How massive they are. Okay. Think about that size scale. And so the city was divided, I think, into 5 rings. And so
Welcome back, Kate.
Welcome back. So the outermost ring was very like rural. I mean, it was miles and miles of space. Like, this is a massive city. So you've got like forests, you've got small towns, you've got, it's very rural farms. This is like the part of the city that produces a lot of the raw resources for the city. Okay. And I'm talking about like massive ring. Like, I don't really know what to compare it to, but like you could fit multiple big cities within this outer ring. Like, it's massive. And then you've got the big wall there. And then you get closer, and the more inward you go, the higher the income base is, or the class base is. And so in the center, of course, is like the emperor. Like he lives there, the king, whatever you want to call him. And also, not dead center, but before that would be the college. And it's got all the different schools of magic. And then coming out from that would be like high class society. And then coming out a little further would be like the trade district. Yeah. And then coming out from that, you're back at the rural part, the massive one. Anyway, so everybody, known society, lives inside these rings because for some reason, if there's anything magical that happens, some kind of aberration or something is attracted to magic. And so if magic gets used, these creatures start to appear and basically want to devour the magic or the source of the magic. And so magic is completely outlawed. Cannot use it, especially if you're in the outer ring. The closer in you get, the more protected you are, and you could practice it. But like, it is strictly banned. And anyway, so that was kind of the overall idea, and they were like, let's do that one. That one sounds cool. And we got a couple sessions in, and it was a lot of fun because it was really cool seeing how, basically, it's like the prohibition. You're not supposed to use magic, but people were finding ways around smuggling magic items, using magic.
Oh, of course. If you can't use it, it's everywhere.
Right. And but if you do it out in the open, there is a percentage chance, and I would roll that, these creatures would just appear out of nowhere. And then once they do, it's just like all hell breaks loose kind of situation. And anyway, so I don't know. It was a lot of fun, and we got a few sessions in, but we ended up not being able to continue it. Anyway, I'm basically putting these ideas out for anybody to use.
Yeah.
And I think if you're interested in dungeon mastering, like, world building is like one of the most fun aspects. Like, you can get hung up on, the big capital city, or you can get hung up on the littlest details, like, what does Ram Crown mean? Like, or I think one of them was like Stone Bottom or Hammer Fist. Like, what is this clan known for? What did they do? How
do they interact with each other is a big deal in my campaign that I like to run.
Yeah. Which dwarves don't like which dwarves. And, or if you want to get hung up on like a super tiny detail, like, do Dragonborns have tails or not?
Yeah.
Some people don't like that idea. Some people are like, you can have a tail, I don't care.
Cody Nimrod, he's messaging me. He said, "Have you seen the Rice trick to draw world maps?"
Yes, I do that all the time.
I think it's really cool. I've also seen people use beans,
Yep. Yeah, I've used beans.
and they will use different beans to represent things. So, like, you've got a bunch of little beans, and then there's like a big red kidney bean, and that represents a major city.
Right. Yeah, just kind of where they land, you just plot that on
Yeah.
the thing. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen people do that. Yeah, that is one of the biggest things that'll get my creative juices going. Like, I'll just draw a map. And I do that.
Yeah.
I do the rice or the beans. I'll go in the kitchen and just kind of spread them all on the paper and just kind of trace around them. And I'll and then from there, I'm like, okay, so here's a lake, here's a thing. I think like a city would be here because of the bay, and then like that, and then well, here's some mountains anyway. And so you basically get like a flow of like where major cities would be and why, and where resources would come from, and then like you start just giving them names and like ooh, and that gets my brain going real quick. Like,
Yep. I like the campaign I'm running right now is Spelljammer, so it's D&D in space, and ships are a big proponent of that, and the ships are basically just battle maps that can move and things like that. So to get this group really invested in this, I built to scale ships for them. And it was very, very interesting because you like move around the ship. If you're like, I go to yada yada and I like shoot at the other ship. Well, you're back here and that thing is over here, so you got to get there. I mean, I'm making it not just yeah, I do the thing. No, you're 40 feet away from ship end to end.
yeah.
So you got to get there, and then while you're doing that, the ship is coming, man. Like, stuff happens. So, I like doing stuff like that and making really dynamic maps. I mean, I don't have as much time to put into it as some people do, but I like making dynamic maps for people, especially with the concept of the ships, because I'm like, once they get their ship, and that's about where they're at, so I need to make them their ship, then that's it. That's your battle map. Unless you go off on a world or something, everything that happens to you will happen on this ship. So you gotta know it, take care of it, all of that thing. So kind of like with your inventory management idea, and I'm trying not to give too much away because I know some of my players listen. Like, this ship is going to be important. If you're going out into space and you're exploring, and I think they're getting the idea of it because they're building a crew. And I told them, I'm going to make, not NPCs, I'm going to make character crew members for you. They will have stats. They will be able to do stuff, So I think they're realizing, oh, this is our little nugget in the big universe that they're about to go out and explore. Yeah. So I need to get that made for them.
What do you think about the idea of, I mean, if you're making full-on character sheets for this crew members, like allowing your players to be like, now I'm going to take this crew member out, like, and play them, or allowing them to build a couple of characters that can be crew members but can also be their own if they want to change out on the fly.
I actually already kind of did this. One of the first sessions, they all did this great thing where they all went off in different directions and they like role played different stuff. And I love good role play. If I reward role play, let me put it to you that way.
Yeah.
So they all went off and did their own little thing and interacted with this or this and did all these little things. And I gave each of them in-game things. And one of the things that Cody Nimrod actually got was this character he was interacting with. And it was just like a little throwaway NPC in the module we were playing to kind of get used to Spelljammer. That was supposed to, like, he was going to butt heads with her and then they would never cross paths again. It was just a little thing, Yeah. And he said, I'm going to go find that chick. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Long story short, he starts chatting her up, and now they're dating in the game. And I said, all right, that was wonderful. You get to make a second character, and you're responsible for her stats and combat, and I will roleplay her.
That's cool.
So now we have, and she of course joined their crew, right? So now there's this bard character. He made her a bard. Um, so now there's this bard character that he keeps up with spells and combat and all that stuff, and I'm the personality behind her and things like that. So in a way, we kind of did that to where I like the idea of them being able to use the characters like mechanics, but I don't want them to like deviate too far from the ideas I have in my brain because that can kind of derail it, I feel.
Yeah.
Like I've already made two other characters. One was an NPC that they picked up and they wanted him to be on their crew. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll make him a thing. And then they needed, like they're putting together the crew. They've got a captain, which is an NPC that I've put together. They've got all their different things and they realized, oh, we need a cook for the ship. And I was like, all right, do y'all want to make characters and we can have interviews? And we can decide which one of you made the best cook, or do y'all just want me to make one? And they're like, you just make one. And I'm like, y'all suck. But okay. So I made one, and now and of course now I'm like, who is this character? What's their backstory? How is this going to interact with the crew while they're out there exploring space? And and of course the world building just kicks off from there, man. So they've got these things. Cody's messaging me. But now I have to run the 2 full spell casters. Yes, he's constantly going back and forth between spell lists, and he's just like, and I'm like, hey, you did it to yourself. You made her a caster. You could have made her a fighter and not worried about it.
Yeah.
He said, it's cool, but super mind taxing, and he goes Whiz Pop. Yeah, the character they adopted, his name is Whiz Pop. Whiz Pop joined the crew. He's gonna be the engineer. He's a auto gnome.
Oh, that's cool. An auto gnome? Like a
it's a spell jammer thing where they're
that's
gnomes,
right. That's right.
but they're warforged, basically.
Yes.
So yeah, he's this little auto mechanical gnome who is going to be the engineer. And it's great that he's the engineer because when they found him, he was actually helping them on the ship that they found him on, trying to learn how to use it and stuff. So I'm like, so it makes sense that he becomes the engineer and stuff like that. So,
yeah. Something, this kind of ties into what we're talking about, but something I've always wished there was like a fleshed out system for, and that just means I should probably try to make something. But I like the idea, and I don't want to bog the player characters down too much. But I think it's cool if your characters hit a certain level and there's a certain amount of, fame and notoriety that comes with that. Like you're very recognized. Like I think my characters got to like level 10 or 15 or something. And there was one city that they encountered a group of people that was basically not stealing their identity, but calling themselves the group that the group called themselves.
Right.
But it was more out of like admiration than anything else. Or like, you guys are really cool and you're heroes and we want to be like you. We're trying to like basically be the protectors of this little city that we live in. But getting to a certain level of notoriety, a certain level in the game that you can take on an apprentice. And that apprentice comes in at a much lower level than everybody else and is not your main character, but you do roll a character sheet up for him. It is like an actual character. And so, if at any point your main character, I highly doubt he would die because that's not something that happens too often. Or if you decide like, hey, this character is ready to retire, or this character is ready to do something off on its own, like my apprentice will now take my place. And you've kind of prepared this character, like the group has gotten to know them, because you can role play. The player who makes them can role play for them, and control them in battle or whatever. You are essentially having two characters, which might be a little weird. I don't know. I've never tested it out, but then you get to a point that you're like, I think this character is good. I think I'm going to allow this character to step in its place. I don't know. I think there's something there, getting to a certain level that like people want to be you. People want to follow you or have you teach them what you know. And I don't know. I
Yeah.
think there could be a cool mechanic for that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, you would have to like you said, you'd have to make sure that the secondary character doesn't ever surpass the first one, because if you do, then it's time to sort of retire the first character. Um, but no, I like that idea, and like because that opens up for like great role play stuff. Like even if your secondary character is like your child, and they're learning this from you, and you know you could even have like a lineage thing going on there. Um, no, I think it's something there, and if you put mechanics to it where it feels more than just flavor, then
Right.
people would be a little bit more invested, because that's easy to do for flavor. I just have a secondary character and they're always 5 levels behind me or whatever, you
Right.
know.
And
But to actually have apprentice background or whatever.
right. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, it's the same with like animal companions. Animal companions, I think, for rangers are like ranger level -4 or something like that. Or
And that sucks.
right, but
It's super dull.
yeah, it can be.
Because then what is that? But then it's not just a person; it's an animal. So you have to use animal stats -4, and there's no leveling up an animal. You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like,
Well, I
there's
mean,
ways to do it for the mechanics, but
Yeah,
it's not as solid as it could be. Is all I'm saying.
right. Yeah. So, but something similar to like, hey, at this level, if you want to do this additional mechanic of taking on an apprentice, here's the level table for that, you know.
Hmm.
And then having the ability to like, oh, if your character dies or retires or whatever, you can transition easily to a full-time character.
Right. I think it's cool that they could take levels of apprentice, like like it's its own class,
Yeah.
and then if they ever fully take over for that character and become the main character, then they can start liking levels in like fighter or paladin and stuff like that. You know, like you have graduated and now you can be an adventurer proper.
Yeah. Yeah. Though I feel like to be a proper apprentice, you would have to be whatever your main character is. So like if you're a
That makes sense.
bard, you know, a bard couldn't be able to train you on how to be a paladin, you know.
Yeah.
So there is some limitations there for a system that doesn't exist, but yeah, that, and this is completely random, but I wish D&D or Pathfinder or something had a system for weapons that level with you.
Yeah.
Because how long has Hadhod had his Warhammer?
Whew.
I mean, pretty
I
much
mean-
from the beginning.
Yeah, and we kind of did adjust it as we go, and the reason was, I think, is because we always role play. Whenever Hadhod had downtime, he was in the forge doing something.
Yeah.
You know, like he made that whistle for Ro. He's always working on his hammer. This last session, he like swore vengeance against the guy that killed, you know, Nelso. So he like took some piece of metal and a rope, made a noose and put runes around it and said, I'm gonna kill this dude with this rope. You know, so
That's so
we've
funny.
always
We didn't make eye contact, but I looked at you and was like, I know where you got that from.
Yeah, I did look at you on purpose. I was like, I can't look at him because this super cool, intense moment will be ruined if I look at him. Yeah, so I thought that would be cool. So I did it, and we always established that Hadhod builds things, so it was always kind of like a. Whenever my hammer could do a new thing, no one really questioned me. They were just like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, they were just like, oh, it just comes back to your hand now? Okay.
Yeah.
But back to your point.
Yeah. And so, okay. So in every single one of my games I've ever ran, there's been an intelligent weapon at some point. Like a weapon with,
And confirm.
yes. I love the idea of a weapon that for some reason has a soul in it or has intelligence or was something else at one point or whatever.
Oh, God of War was really up your alley then, wasn't it?
Atreus' sword. I can't remember the name
Yep.
of it. Dude, I love that weapon.
Sigrid or
I wanted
Something
to
like
know
that.
everything about that weapon, like so much. Yeah, and then when the dagger, his blade was like, "Oh, who's in there?" And he's like, "What? I have to wait how many more hours to figure this out?"
A long time.
Yeah. But yeah, so some sort of system where, and this might just be a class thing where, you know, it could be a blade master or some kind of class where your class abilities are just what you do to your weapon to make it better, and that's what makes you stronger. And now I really want to build this class.
Hey man, do it. We won the OGL wars, so
I'm telling
we're
you.
good to go. We can do whatever we want, man.
Yeah, I can finally put that Dragonborn or Dragon Bloodline barbarian that I made.
Yeah, get it out there, because we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. But yeah, I like that idea, because a lot of times you get, like, sure, you can get a magical weapon here or there, but usually, like, every time I've ever played a game, like, you get a weapon and you stick with that one weapon for a while.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're Natalie. Natalie had a weapon for. She was the Swiss Army fighter or rogue. She had anything you would need for any reason. And we're just like, you can't carry all this. And she's like, what can I? And I'm like, because you look stupid, for one. Just carrying it all on your back like an idiot. She's like, oh, you're just really good at hammers. I'm like, yes, I made hammers my thing. I have 2 hammers that I carry all the time. Let's see. I'm also looking at the anchor layout for the episodes, and I'm like, it does look weird to just go from episode 21 to episode 1, so I'm going to start labeling them season 2, episode whatever.
I gotcha.
Ugh.
All right, I think it's a pretty good episode.
I'm about to say, according to the thing, we've been going for about 66 minutes.
I got an hour and 7 minutes on OBS here.
Yep.
So I'm going to title this one World Building, because I think that's kind of what we mostly talked about.
Mostly talked about world building, yeah, which we'll probably talk about more in the future.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, side note, for my own personal notes, do you have a name for your continent that we all mostly occurred on?
No.
Well, unnamed southern continent it is.
No. Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Yeah. I have this thing, some buddies of mine told me about this website called workflowy.com.
Yeah.
And it's an infinite document where you just like do tabs and it's bulleted lists and you can just put in information as you go. So I did it to start like fleshing out my campaign settings so I wouldn't forget stuff. And boy, howdy, do I have some stuff on here now.
Nice. What's it called?
Workflowy, WORKFLOWY.com.
All right, I'll have to look at that. Have you ever heard of Notion?
Notion? Mm-mm.
Notion? Okay, it's what I use, and I'm going to send you a video to watch later, and I'll put it in the comments too, just because it's good world building information. Notion's free. It's what I use, and it's I mean, there's really no limit to the ways you can use it. I'll find it here. Here we go. Copy link address. There we go. And we'll go ahead and stick that in the chat. Maybe. There we go. Ooh, no, that's not. I hate that. I hate when you copy anything from Facebook. It's like some weird Facebook link.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, copy that. There we go. That's the actual YouTube link. Boop. Anyway, but Notion's free, and this guy you can use it for tons of different things. But this guy, I've seen different DMs use it in different ways, but I like the way that this particular guy uses Notion to organize his world. So y'all can take a look at that. And like I said, Notion's free. But yeah, I think it's a good episode, and we can call it here. Lots of good ideas and resources, I think. But yeah, so you guys, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for chatting with us. Always, if you want to participate live, we do this on Sunday evenings, usually about 6-7. But if you hop in and chat, we you can ask us questions live, and we will talk about them in the podcast here. And if it's after the fact, YouTube and Spotify, you can get your favorite terrain fix there. So don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe and give us a review on Spotify, I think. And go check us out on Patreon. We've got a Patreon that has a lot of different cool D&D or tabletop RPG themed tiers that you should go check out. Some really fun stuff on there. And I think that's all I got. You got anything, Trey?
No. I'm just having this conversation has made me realize I got a lot to do to prep for my next session, so I need to do that. I'm like, oh man, I got stuff to do. Guess I know what I'm doing in my evenings. I'm building that ship, and then I'm prepping for what's going to happen, because we've reached the point now where they are literally about to take off and do their own thing. So yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, until next time, thank you guys. God bless, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Matt?